Scots and Soul.
Build this network on Scots with Soul. Happening, folks, and welcome back to Scots with Soul 5. This is the IndiScots podcast, and welcome back. This week we have HighlandRocket, we also have PCgoneMad, and we have RenjiPls. How you doing, HighlandRocket? And what have you been up to in your channel this week?
Thank you very much.
That's the first question I ask. My mic's not on yet, guys.
I'm good, man. Just trying to focus on growth. I'm getting a wee bit impatient with growth. I expect like 10 million subs a day, so well, follows I should say. So it's just been trying to crack the growth thing, man. Like trying to get some. So I've got growth. It's good growth, but I'm impatient, like I said. So my thing is that I don't have anything powerful enough to do proper video editing. So things that I'm sort of wanting to get focused in myself, like doing some video highlight.
At this point, my mic's still no on, but I tell Rocket that I'll do his editing for him if he just asks.
Right, okay, mate. I will probably need to take you up on that, mate, because I'm starting to get myself in a fucking rut here.
Aye, man. That's what networking actually is. It's you need something that I can do it, we help each other out, and we do it together.
Yeah, buddy. Sounds good.
Delegate that shit.
Teamwork makes the dream work, boys.
And if I make a fuck up, you can say, trust, that's fucking shite.
But yeah, man, overall, you're doing good,
Renji,
mate.
what about you? How are you? What you been up to in your channel?
It's been good, man. I just started a new job and finally sort of finished moving house, so I've just been trying to stream whenever I can, but not make it super oversaturated with just streaming all the time. So it was good, man. I set myself like a challenge last week, just to try and like get a bit more consistent with all the chaos that's going on. So I was streaming Life is Strange for a wee bit, and it was good for being a noob, man.
I can't believe my mic's still off.
Oh, it's insane.
It's fucking shocking, man. But I'm talking to Renji about how good his channel's been doing with Life is Strange and how that sort of type of game is
Totally
really good for somebody who's just starting out on Twitch, because the viewer base knows what's happening in the game and they get to know the streamer.
Yeah, the Telltale ones, man. I'm probably gonna have to go in and buy a few more of them. But it was dynamite, man. It was got loads of nice content, and I think before when I was just like streaming off the fly, I just wasn't getting the numbers. I wasn't getting the chat. So it was a bit of a test. But I just sort of I just marketed it as if I was rolling with a schedule, man, and it paid off. So it was a nice test and learn.
Is it no the Steam sale now?
It is Steam sale now, man. It's ridiculous. Life is Strange, you get it for like $3.
Last year I got all the Telltale games for like 60 quid or something like that. It was a huge bundle. They all came with it. Back to the Future, Wolf Among Us, Game of Thrones, you name it. Sam & Max, games you didn't even think of, man. Just so many Telltale games. My least favourite one is Game of Thrones. It's the worst one of all of them.
There's a like Borderlands collection, which is like 100 quid down to like $17 or something like that, man. It's got like 9 different games in it. So it's got like the first 2. It's got the prequel. It's got a bunch of DLC. It's got the Telltale's game, and it's got some mad multiplayer thing in it. All for like 16, 17 quid.
That's actually good.
It's nice, man. Yeah, like.
Well, let's move on to PCgoneMad. What have you been up to in your channel, man? And how are you doing this week?
Apart from being ridiculously hungover, we had our first sort of small community night out last night, so I am currently suffering the consequences. Don't really know what my goals are for dying. Honestly, the amount of chanting I must have been doing last night is ridiculous. And in terms of growth and stuff, plans, I don't really have an overall goal or plan. I just like to try.
Just jump about Sucky Hall Street with a PCgoneMad sign thrown it about like they do in America.
Yeah. I went and made merch. You can do this now free on Streamlabs. If you get your own logo and stuff like that, they offer you. So you can have pillows, mugs, t-shirts and all that. So if you've not done it yet, Tyler recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I done merch as well, but it was on a different website. But yeah, I'll need to check out the Streamlabs, because Streamlabs is just a much more... Streamlabs is just a much more
have a look at the
trusted
Streamlabs
platform. Everybody knows it, and it's just more likely to succeed, isn't it?
Exactly.
This is where I realised that I'm muted, man. Aye.
So apparently you're muted on the stream. according to the bold stubs.
How is that possible? How
Right,
can we hear you on this, but we can't hear you on the stream?
I don't know. My mic hadn't registered next split. So hi guys, I was asking them questions. They were answering them. The questions I was asking them was, how are you guys and what you up to in your channel this week? So hopefully that gives you the context to the answers, right? And then what I said after that was, we'll move on to the next section.
That's a good segue. That.
There we go.
But yeah, we'll move on to what's your favourite game genre, and we'll ask that to PCgoneMad.
Oh, mine is obvious, to be honest, for anybody that watches. It's first-person shooters. Any game where I can shoot somebody in the face and ruin their day is good enough. I just want somebody at the other end fuming with life, questioning their whole morality because I've popped them right in the face.
That sort of game, it does play to a Scottish mindset, but it doesn't, because we're all about sarcasm and getting your pals to react to stuff. Do you know what I mean? So see when you can make this random guy react in a profound way, you're like, yes.
That for me is my preferred game genre.
FPS's Battle Royales, you play a lot of them, didn't you?
I do, mate, aye. As I said, any game where I can make somebody pissed off is good for me.
Renji-san,
Right,
what about you?
Depends, man. I used to be all about the RPGs back in the day when I was doing more console gaming, man. But since I've switched over to PC, man, I've not found my niche yet. I've loved playing through Life is Strange, man. Like it was so much fun. I think it was just like, it was a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chill, but you still got more involved in it. So I feel like I'm gonna, especially with the channel, I'm gonna take it a little bit more story driven, I think, and then maybe just have like 1 or 2 nights a week where I arse around on stuff like Fortnite.
What about you, Rocket?
Well, I like first-person shooters. I do like that, especially the Battle Royale sort of thing. But sometimes they don't like me. I mean, sometimes you can feel like an absolute god, and then other times you just want to do really bad things to try and get the frustration out. So, like shout and scream and toe the line of TOS. But
see how far you could push it.
Hi, pretty much. I like games with a meaty story as well. Although not necessarily do viewers like that. I think if it's a story which is continues, the progression of the story is quite fast, and something you can sort of narrate over, it can kind of work. If it's a really long-winded story with lots of just sort of similar gameplay between story progression, that really does fall flat on its face. So when it comes to story games, it's finding that game that sort of fits into the streamer niche. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like all games, mate. I like all games. Like, I'm looking forward to the new Tomb Raider. I absolutely love Tomb Raider, mate, for all the right reasons, may I add.
Like, I don't even know if I've got a favourite genre. Like, it's such a tough question to answer, but it generates conversation. That's why I ask it. But if I'd to pick a genre, it'd definitely be RPGs. Do you know what I mean? Games like Dead Island, Dying Light. Do you know what I mean?
Dying Light's phenomenal,
stuff like that, man. They're just so good. Games like Destiny and shit like that as well. Destiny's kinda an RPG because you're on
like an RPG light.
Aye, it's an RPG MMO almost. Do you know what I mean? And see that game where you can just jump in with a few friends. There's a task in front of you, and you have to conquer that task together. I fucking love that. Love that. I love just figuring out puzzles, just puzzle games in general. Do you know what I mean? Ain't me a good puzzle? Fucking brilliant.
Especially if it's in between like a shooter game where it kind of takes a monotony of just shoot, something that makes you tax your brain a wee bit as well and kind of changes things up. Yeah,
aye, because there's only so long you can play fucking a Call of Duty story mode, isn't there? You're like, right, I'm going to sit down and play Call of Duty story mode, and then halfway through it, you're like that.
Yeah, 6 hours.
So
I didn't even complete the last Call of Duty story mode. I gave up on it halfway through. It was just the same stuff over and over again.
There you go. That's my point exactly. Do you know what I mean? Like, you
I
get
now play them
through
to
it.
see how quick I can get to the end. How quickly can I
Speedrun
destroy
COD.
this tiny wee story?
I remember when I first started streaming, because my name's COD Ate My Dog, people used to come in and they're like, "Where's Call of Duty? Where's Call of Duty?" And I'm like, it's COD Ate My Dog. I see Call of Duty.
I really like
I
fishing.
fucking played some Call of Duty and everybody's like, "Why are you playing Call of Duty?" And I'm like, "Fucking what is this?"
Can he win?
Couldn't win, man, at the start now. Right, we'll move on to a more fun question. Renji, what's your favourite dinosaur?
I was looking forward to these types of questions. I feel like it's cliche going with like a T-Rex in it. I'm gonna go with a Triceratops. See, when I was younger, I was pure mad for a Triceratops. Blue Ranger all the way.
Oh, that's right. Power Rangers had their dinosaurs, didn't they?
100%, man. So I'll go with a Triceratops.
Triceratops. What about you, Rocket San? What's your favourite dinosaur?
A Theosaurus, mate. I love them big, long, meaty words, mate, you know? Them alternative catchphrases.
You can always counting him to catch you off guard, can't you? What about you, PCgoneMad? What's your favourite dinosaur?
Well, seeing as Renji stole my answer, I'm going to revert back. Bro. It's alright, mate, I'll let you. I'm going to revert back to the T-Rex cliche, purely because ages ago, maybe even years ago, right, somebody said, imagine a T-Rex trying to make a bed, right? Tiny wee hands, right? All I can think of it now is how ridiculously funny that would be seen. So ever since then, when I see the T-Rex now in the cinema and stuff, I just think, look at him so angry because he can't make his bed.
One of my mates said something very similar when we were talking about dinosaurs. He's like, can you imagine a T-Rex eating its burger and it drops its burger?
On the note of T-Rexes, I've seen plenty of T-Rexes in the club.
My favourite dinosaur has to be the flying man. What's the flying man called?
I don't even know your favourite dinosaur's name.
Pterodactyl, that's what it is, aye.
Oh, right.
It just looks like, see that skinny old woman that used to fucking always threaten to burst your bob when you were a boy. It looks like she learned how to fly and you're like, how the fuck did she learn to fly, man? So aye, for that reason, that's my favourite dinosaur. But
it reminds you of a skinny old woman, no teeth.
It does. How does it fly? How can she fly? Do you know what I mean? But any controversial opinions? Does anybody have a controversial opinion? We'll get that question out the way.
I am a controversy, mate.
Controversial opinion.
What's my controversial opinion? I've got loads. I try to find one that's good enough.
As controversial as you want. Push terms of service, mate. Let's go.
If we're pushing the terms of service, mate.
If we're keeping it topical, I think everyone that's complaining about the heat needs to move to a colder country.
It's not like it's like permanent, mate. It's like a couple of days. Or
I know.
The ones that really get me right is the older generation. They'll turn around and say, "We could do with a wee bit of rain." No, we couldn't.
No, we couldn't. We've had enough of that.
I'll clear the air. No, keep your rain in. Keep it right. Just get
your experience your own rain.
But aye, man, the fucking climate in Scotland, it's been getting, like, usually we say we've got 1 week in May. That's what we've said since we've been wee boys, man. Do you know what I mean? We've got 1 good week in May. You got 1 good week in May. It's fucking always a fair weekend, man. And then fucking, like, the past couple of years, we've had the full month of May, and it's even the 1st of June the day, or July the day, and it's fucking gorgeous outside. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So apparently it's supposed to be a month-long heat wave, eh?
See, if we're not computer geeks, you might go outside and get some sun.
I know, man. I know.
I'm just looking at the sun from my window. I've barely even been outside.
I've got a fucking blackout blind
Nothing
and
to
my
do with the
fucking
hangover,
green screen lights on. But,
yeah, that's the thing. You could just put some sun on the green screen and you've got it all, but you need to go outside.
Be good if you still got a tan.
Aye, mate. Just sitting there with your UV lights and your green screen fucking
the
sunrise.
UV lights?
Just get your shades on, just sit there. Take it in.
There you go.
But right, a wee bit deeper and a wee
You
bit
start playing the
philosophical,
piano, mate.
right? Here we go. We're going philosophical.
Going deep and philosophical.
We're going deep and philosophical. Renji, what do you think causes deja vu?
Oh, man. Right. So, I think that there's a lot of alternate universes, right? And the moment that you've had deja vu is where someone in the universe before you has passed away. And they're sending all of the hints as to how it's kind of like Dark Souls, right? So like if we're gonna tie it, so say I'm like 186th in the line, I'll have had 185 instances of deja vu where future future Chris's or past Chris's, I can't figure it out, have died, and then that's been passed on to the next guy, so that when he gets the deja vu, he doesn't realise it, but he avoids the danger and doesn't die.
That's deep.
That's right. It's a bit deep for a Sunday afternoon.
What if you're getting deja vu looking at, like, in a shop, looking at, like, I don't know, what's the least dangerous thing? Like a teddy bear?
Yeah, but then imagine just like some car comes plummeting through the wall, takes you out. like all that stuff that you see in America, CCTV cameras that's put on Facebook for our viewing.
Aye, some of the CCTV footage comes out of America, but it's fucking wild, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
Still the Wild West out there.
It really is in some places, isn't it, man?
Aye.
But Rocket, what do you think deja vu is?
Well, I can tell you, like, the scientific, factual reason why it occurs, but that might be an unpopular opinion.
He's got Google.
Deja vu comes from, like, we're very poor at memorizing things, like, as a species. Our memories as well, when we do memorize things, we don't memorize everything. We'll memorize, say, key details, and then it's been proven as well in, like,
we'll remember our KD, but that's it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. And you fill in the blanks, and it makes people very susceptible to manipulation as well. Like, for example, people can be persuaded into remembering. There's a scientific study done in which somebody was told that they were basically falsely made to believe that they had a memory of being in a hot air balloon when they were younger, right? So that's how bad their memories are. Following on to that, deja vu is when you've had a memory of something very similar, but you can't 100% recall it. Or you might see, like, you might walk somebody you've walked before, but you never really had a memory. Or somebody might say something that's similar in your past, but you don't have a solid, concrete, oh, I remember that moment. And it's basically, it's a slight trigger of a weak memory, basically, that fits in with the scenario that's happening in front of you at the point in time.
See,
when you can't quite recall it, but it's still there. Parts of the details are still there. You just can't figure out. For example, you might remember the string of letters or words that was said, along with there might be an object similar, but you can't remember the exact background, and then it feels like you've been there before, but it's actually a loose memory that you can't quite pinpoint, basically.
See, I actually think along the very same lines as you, but it's not a past memory. What I actually think, right, is, see if you think of your brain as your tower PC, right? Your CPU is the brain, right? And the GPU is the part that makes the signal from the eyes turn into a graphic, right? So that's what generates the image, right? So there's only so much images your brain can generate at any one time, right? So see if it's taking in the eye signal and the CPU generates an emotional response, like a slight fraction of a second before the image is generated, then when the image is finally generated in your brain, like say a second or so later, your brain goes, I've been here, but I can't remember it. It's got that emotional response for the situation you're in just now. And when the image appears, you get the exact same emotional response. And that's what generates the feeling of deja vu. That's what I think deja vu is.
Cool.
I think there's a slight disconnect between your brain at any one time. Do you know what I mean? Your brain's not quite functioning at 100%. So you generate the emotional response, then the image. And you go, I've been here before, I swear to God, I swear to God.
I can tell you right now, my brain's no function at 100%. That's factually correct.
See, in 5 minutes, you're just going to be like, guys, wait a minute, I've been here before.
Well, my theories on deja vu is a lot simpler. The monotony of life, you do loads of things that are so similar to each other, a day in, day out, and you've done it your entire life, that you're automatically triggered to believing you've done it before. Whether you've done it or not, it isn't even the case, but you do so many repetitive things. I've had deja vu just getting into the toilet and seeing a hairbrush. I might have got in that toilet and seen a hairbrush somewhere else, but my mind's saying to me, you've seen this before, and it's just filling in the blanks for me there.
Aye, and it was yesterday when you woke up.
Aye, you know what I mean? That's my theory. It's just the monotony of life. I wonder how many millionaire fuckers you get deja vu. Bet none of them do, because they're out living the dream, doing different things every day.
You managed to condense what took me about 5 minutes, like 5 words there, mate.
It's my talent, layman's terms. That's my talent.
But we'll go back to gaming. We'll ask PCgoneMad this question first. How do you feel about the freemium game model? Like a free game with packs you have to buy?
Sometimes it can work. Fortnite, as much as I loathe the game, it has proved that if you put out a free game, people will still spend money on the other aspects of the game. It might not affect the game itself, but just cosmetically, and people spend fortunes on it. But then you get other games like Battlefront that completely just rip it in a whole new level where it's pay to win.
Yeah.
That's the two distinct differences for me. If you can pay to get better at a game quicker than somebody else, in my opinion, that's pay to win. Especially if things are locked behind paywalls.
Yeah.
There again. But if it's just cosmetic stuff or things that affect single player, if they can release a good game, I might buy stuff. Like I went and got Destiny on the Humble Bundle, even though I've already played it on the PlayStation 4. And because I enjoyed it so much in the PC, I then went and spent the extra money on the DLCs as well.
Nice.
You know, because I'm enjoying the game. So there they've got my 12 quid for the Humble Bundle, but then they've got the extra for the DLC because I'm enjoying the game. So things like that can work as long as they're done right.
Aye, I agree with you. It's the paywall thing's the big part. Do you know what I mean? Like, see if they put, like, imagine they put fucking exotic weapons behind a wall in Destiny. It'd totally break the game. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you can always work towards. If you can always work to, like, say somebody could go on and buy a weapon in Destiny, right? Say you could go on, like, see in Battlefield, you can go on and you can buy, what is it, level 10 of a character. You can buy straight to level 10, but you can grind to that. So see, that doesn't bother me if you can buy it, but see if I can still get to it with grinding. That doesn't bother me because gaming exists for two different demographics. You've got people who work all the time and only want to play video games when they come home. Do you know what I mean? So that in Battlefield exists. They can buy the level 10 character and they can play the game at full capacity, whereas somebody with more time, do you know what I mean? Like a streamer, they can grind it. Do you know what I mean? They've got the time to grind it. They want to grind it. So for me, I agree completely with PCgoneMad. As long as there's nothing that's going to make the game unfair hidden behind a paywall, then I'm fine with freemium games. What about you, HighlandRocket? How do you feel about them?
Well, I don't agree with pay to win. Like, pay to win, there's certain core aspects that make a game, and taking away a progression system, a tree system, basically takes away one of the core aspects that actually makes a game. These games, like story games we were talking about before we went live, they're not. They belong in a different class. I wouldn't call them games. I wouldn't say they're not game media, but they belong to a very specific. Like, it's almost like they're a media all of in their own. It's like a playthrough movie, which is not taken away. It's fantastic. They're great. I actually enjoy playing some of them, but I wouldn't call them a game because there's certain key aspects put together that constitute a game. You can't just call anything a game. There has to be certain things that constituent components that make a game. So if you've got a pay to win, in my opinion, it's no longer a game. Then it's not offering that reward system that is key to a game where you progress in some way. When it comes to things like Fortnite, as PCgoneMad says, that's a perfect example of how an actual freemium game is a game and successful, because you've got a game based on people's skill, something that it's got a progression system, which is the battle pass, but it's not. You can pay for that, but it's not something that affects the skill of the game and affects the capability of somebody within the game. It's all the trimmings around the outside. The core component of it is still a functioning game. So in that respect, as long as Fortnite sets the trend and people stick to that and stop, and companies don't just go in for the kill with money and just be really greedy, if this is the model that freemium games are then built upon, then I don't see any problem with them whatsoever. So that's my 2 cents
But
on
you've
that.
got to, like, I think Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty's got to, I think, when's that coming out? It's like the end of the year, isn't it, again? Mid-November, September time, isn't it? And they're taking away the story mode out their game, and they're probably going to add a fucking battle royale. You know they fucking are.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You know they are. They're going to fucking, and I think they're going to be the money grabbers, because that's fucking Activision. Do you know what I mean?
They are, mate.
And see when these people start making a lot of money, other people are going to see that, and I just hope the game industry doesn't go down the fucking toilet with it. Do you know what I mean?
There is a devil's advocate to this as well, right? Where, in my opinion, still to this day, all the best games are games you have to buy. I mean, look at God of War. You know, it was a full price game, and it's been praised by critics, by media, and by the fans. That game could never exist in a freemium market because there's very little buy-in value after you've really done the crux of the game.
Yeah.
So for the time being, I still think these big AAA games that are coming out with a price tag to begin with will still be the best games. But I can see in time, maybe a lot of the multiplayer games I think will end up being maybe even separate to the single player experience. Freemium games completely different to the main game, and I think there'll be buy-ins there.
See, on the note of Call of Duty, I was watching a documentary last night about Call of Duty, funny enough, and Call of Duty, it's weird. Call of Duty, Activision are sticking with the whole loot box, the whole money, everything, the whole season pass thing. For example, Battlefield 5, I think it's 5B, has released, obviously, they let people know that there's no longer going to be, they're not going to have to pay for the DLC. The DLC is going to be free. The market has responded to the consumer with the loot boxes, with DLC, with season passes, with predatory things just filled in the system. Call of Duty, unfortunately, in my opinion, is full of a lot of money generating, let's just say money generating things, from skins to loot boxes to the season passes. They've just released that you're not going to be able to buy, you have to pay, instead of it being DLC 1, 2, 3 and you pay for which one you want, you're now going to have to pay for all the DLC, and you're going to have to do it when you buy the game. So you either get the base game or you buy all of the DLC. $90 is what they're basically putting it for. Like, so I think they're going to sink themselves because they're not moving with the market. They're not evolving. They're not listening to the consumer. They're powering down this money generating line. So I'm hoping on what you said, COD, it's going to do the opposite because everyone else is responding. Call of Duty is not responding. So I think they're going to find themselves struggling, like, in that regards.
Renji, what do you think about them?
I think there's so many different games that like tackle it in very, very different ways. So it's like I agree with PC, right? I think that, I mean, I still really enjoy Fortnite. Like, me and the guys will jump on a good couple of nights a week and just like play. It's no nonsense. It's good fun. And like I've bought battle passes. Like I've put cash in it here and there to get like V-Bucks to pick like cool cosmetics. But I think it's like, it's almost like I don't mind doing it because like it just adds just like an extra bit of fun. Like it's cool getting like a certain type of like skin or something like that for your character, but it's not necessarily like, it's not altering my gameplay all that much. So like it's still on me to either like get good or just fucking uninstall it, right? Yeah. But another game that I'm super into is Hearthstone, man. And Hearthstone is like that's you can, yeah, man. It's the card game that's based on World of Warcraft, like all the lore and stuff. And it's great, man. Like I've been back into it for about a year. Before I left my last job, me and the guys were talking, and I counted up how much money I'd spent on it outside of the iTunes store because they handle it differently, and like it's almost a full month's wage that I'd spent in a year. Mm-hmm. And it's good, and like you can play the game without doing that. But like for example, when a new expansion comes out and it's like cool for £45, you can get 50 or 60 packs of the new set. Like you're instantly like 500 cards up on majority of the people playing the game at that time. And it doesn't necessarily make you better at the game because you can still be terrible at it and have access to all the cards.
But it gives you options, doesn't it?
It gives you options to do it, man. So I think it's like it's edging that little bit closer, that it's not like a default. It's not like all your weapons are suddenly like dealing 5 to 10 times the amount of damage that someone else is. So like someone who's maybe not as good at a game could like progress in it. But I think they're fine in moderation. Like I'm very much up for just kind of like letting people do what they want anyway. But I think that for certain types of games, I think it's allowing a lot of companies to like bring content that they might not have been able to do before. So like if you take Fortnite, for example, right? Fortnite was released in alpha to begin with, or at least an early access beta. I ended up buying the Save the World Founders thing on CD Keys because CD Keys had it 1 month for like £20 instead of 50 or something like that. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that. And I played like majority of the solo campaign, and it was really, really good. And after playing the multiplayer for so long, it was nice to find out like what the storm is and why things are happening and stuff, right? So it was interesting, and I wouldn't have done that had I not played the free multiplayer so much. But then, you know, with all these microtransactions that they've got to go, and now they can put like, what did they put in, like 1 million, or was it, I want to say like 100 million, but I think I'm bullshitting, but they put a shit ton of money into their esports thing, which they done all for charity. 100 million, like that's insane.
Overall, yeah.
Like 100 million from a game that's still in beta, like it's not properly released yet.
That's quite ridiculous.
But then they now have the money that they've slammed their marketing, they've put all this stuff out, and then now like all the in-game events, like they just had an event last night. I don't know if anyone saw it. Like I'll throw a YouTube link into the Discord later so everyone can see it. But it was nuts.
IndiScots chat.
They it was absolutely nuts. Let me see if I can find it right now. And they basically
made 300 million this month alone.
Yeah, they put an in-game event which happened on all global servers at the same time. Like they've got enough. Like EA would shit their pants if they had to pull off something like that. Like, and they're the kings of microtransactions, right? But they like to see that, and like players were joining a game, and like depending on when they joined, they were like seeing the event happen at certain times, and it only lasted like a couple of minutes, but like just being able to pull stuff like that off on the scale that they're pulling it off, like speaks wonders for them. And if they waited this whole time, got all the money themselves from sponsors and however they wanted to do it, and pre-orders and Kickstarters, however they wanted to go about it, and then they launched the game and not even 10% of the people that currently play it heard of it, like no one would know what Fortnite is.
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't, man. It would just flop because it's not had that same accessibility. So I think it's
key to it, isn't it? It's growth. That the free platform has been they've used that perfectly.
Well, their main game, the Save the World game, that didn't get off to a great start at all, and nobody really played it at all. And then they dropped this battle royale with this free-to-play model, and it's just taking over the world. Quite literally taking over the world.
It literally has, isn't it, man? Every 12-year-old in the fucking world's playing it, man.
But I think though they've set their own standards too high at this point, because they release new stuff every single month, and there's only so long they can keep doing that, or people are going to keep paying for things. And I think eventually you will see, it's like every game, eventually you'll see a downward spiral. But for them, the challenge is how long can they keep riding this wave, and how long can they keep...
There's a big amount of saturation that they need to like worry about. And I think you're right. Like, I mean, like I follow them on like most social media, just to like keep up with them and stuff. And like the amount of people that, or the amount of times that I see, like, I think it's daily, where there's just like another skin for people to buy. Like it's like they're trying not to be like transaction focused, but like they're still kind of being transaction focused. Like, which I mean, it works for them because like it doesn't really cost them all that much to cycle through their skins on a daily basis. But
it's not
to do that
at the expense of the gameplay, though, which I think is
that's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I think is what we've all tried to sort of weigh in on. So I think it's good. I think it just depends how, like, what type of game it is first, and then also how they handle it. But like with something like Fortnite, I have like zero concerns or issues with how they like handle their free to play, and then also like if people want to put money into, because I think the Save the World thing's going to be free once it's released. Obviously, the founder pack things are just like giving you a bunch of extra cosmetic stuff, and well, I think that actually makes a difference in the Save the World campaign because you're doing stuff on it. Like you get like characters that you can like make like look after certain like outposts and stuff. So like that makes a difference, but it doesn't make any difference to your battle royale experience.
Nah.
I dropped a link on the Twitch as well.
Yeah, that's
Just
cool.
watched
Wants
it
to
there.
watch it. It's pretty sick. Like it was pretty impressive. I was annoyed that I missed it. Like,
is Fortnite now put in the Realm Royale icon things when you put your marker down? You know, with the beacons that go up in the sky.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Quite literally stole that from Realm Royale. That's quite fun. How they're all robbing from each other.
When I first started playing Realm Royale, I was just like, fuck, I wish Fortnite did that. Logged in the other night.
Probably one of the few additions lately that I've been, like thought, oh, this is great.
It's these small changes though. Like,
and it's not even from them. Huh?
It's these small changes though that games keep making that it's quality of life improvements. I remember playing, I don't know if any of you guys have played it, right? It was a game called Ring of Elysium. It's basically a PUBG ripoff, but it does so many wee things. Like if you play PUBG and you switch weapons, you have to take all your attachments off manually, switch the gun, pick up the other gun, then put all the attachments back on. Whereas this other game, it's Ring of Elysium. Right. But then in this game, if you swap guns, it automatically adds the attachments on, and you're sitting thinking, PUBG, why can you not do this for me?
Aye.
You know what I mean? And there's where Fortnite there, they've seen something other game has done. That other game only came out, what, a month ago?
Something
and they've
like that.
already
It's very
updated
new,
the
aye.
game with this quality of life improvement. So that's things that Fortnite keep doing, and that's why people are still playing the game. They're updating it so frequently.
I wonder which developer's sitting out there just looking at every single Battle Royale game and waiting to just come in with the perfect, amalgamate everything together.
Every developer's doing that, mate. Every developer's doing
What
that.
is the perfect Battle Royale game? Everybody seems to have their own different take on it.
I really do like the look of this Realm Royale because I really did enjoy
it's good,
Paladins. Paladins was really good, and it looks really like akin to Paladins with your different types of characters, your mage, your knight, and stuff like that. It does look like something I want to play. Aye, but Paladins as well. That was a really good free to play game as well. It was you could progress at the end of every game. You get fucking cards. You could buy the cards as well, but you could grind them out. Do you know what I mean? And like if people had certain cards or whatever, they were stronger, but it didn't really feel unfair because usually the people that are spending all the money, they're the ones that sometimes they've not got a full team, and we're sitting with a full team of people that are only spending money because we're just enjoying playing the game. Where usually people that spend the money are the ones that are constantly playing the game, even if they're playing it on their own. And you come up against buying them and they're buying the characters with full card and you end up beating the team, but you see how the characters can play really good and you start to build your character that way. So I don't know how I feel about fucking whales in games, but sometimes they can be used to your advantage. Sometimes you just kick them about. Do you know what I mean? They're shite, that's why they're whales. Do you know what I mean? That's why they spend money in the game. So, but aye. The next question is, do you think we'll ever see a death to, like, I was actually, PC touched on this earlier, is how they'll always be the best games, but do you ever think we'll see a death to games where you have to pay a big price tag for, like 40 quid? Or do you think we'll ever see that price tag change?
I don't think we'll ever see it. I mean, look at the prices now for single player only AAA games. They're like, what, 60, 70 quid? Mm-hmm. Whereas when I first started buying games myself, they were like 40 quid, 50 quid. So the game price, and it's because, I mean, look how much was it Grand Theft Auto? I think they spent over 100 million just marketing the game, never mind developing the game. So because these games are coming out bigger and better, there's more budget for them. And so that's why they have to put the prices up. So that's why I think these big AAA massive games will just get a higher and higher price tag because they can get away with it. And people, because they're doing it in small increments, it's hard to really notice. But when you look at it over like a 10-year span, the game started at 40, 50 quid, and now we're at 60, 70, 80 quid. It's fucked up.
Do you remember the day it used to be 30 quid for a game? About £33 for the game.
I remember the day you could go into your local video store and somehow walk out with a computer game for under the desk for a couple of quid. You know, I'm not saying this was legitimate or not, I'm just saying it.
The corner shop
in the back of your PlayStation, you know what I mean? And you just somehow managed to play these games. It was good times. Good times.
You get into the corner shop at 12-year-old and you're like, Ranji, go and give us the new Metal Gear and the new Grand Theft Auto. He's like, that's £6. Cheers, mate.
Totally right.
Mate, that was brilliant. But I don't think like you say, I don't think we'll see it in our lifetime. I think we'll just see the price going up. But it's things to do. I feel it's like economy as well. People only, especially young kids and stuff, when they think about the price of a game, they're not taking into account like inflation that happens every year. Do you know what I mean? The money gets worth less and less, so the games have to go up. And price of development, think about it, like game prices, like buying legitimate games from legitimate out stores, right? You're talking, like you say, Rocket, 35 quid, and it's been 35 quid ever since Mega Drive era, all the way up through PlayStation 3 and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So the price never ever changed, whereas I guarantee you it was much easier to develop a game for Mega Drive and SNES than it was PlayStation 2. Do you know what I mean? So we should have seen a price increase in games, and I think we're seeing it now with them. They're trying to make it look as if it's not, the same way that chocolate bar companies tried to make us not notice that chocolate bars getting less, they could become smaller instead at the same price. Do you know what I mean? So the game developers they're bringing out a game and then they're saying, oh, we've got this DLC and this DLC. You pay all of it as a season pass, when really that's just the full game. Do you know what I mean? And they're just making it look as if they're giving you extra stuff, but they're just recouping the price of developing the game. That's how it's like. as a consumer, I'm like, it's fucking shocking, I'm paying 90 quid for a game, but taking an objective look at it like that, you've got to try and accept it.
I think as well, like, see, totally touching on the point that you've made there, and I'm gonna steal a quote from the company that I worked for as well, because I think it rings really true. If you think, you put yourself back to when, you know, like some of the very first games I ever played got the second generation of Sega Mega Drive, where the cartridge was in the middle with the red buttons, right? And you'd buy a game, and I was too young to buy the games myself, right? So let's just spitball that was like a 20, 25 quid title. When I bought that game, like, that's it. Like, I can play the content that's on that game, and then if I really loved it and I really want to play the next installment, I have to wait maybe like at that point, maybe like a good year or two until they put something out. There's no direct way for that company or those developers to see what I thought about the game. There's no way for like me to sort of influence what I enjoyed or what I didn't like about it, so that I may enjoy or dislike a future one, like, moving forward. So you pull ourselves back to this year, and it's like I can't remember who I was having a conversation with about it, and they were the same. They were like, oh, you know, these companies are just churning out like half-arsed games and then expecting us to pay the money for them and stuff. And like, I kind of get it to a degree, but it's also kind of like Fortnite, where, like, you know, companies. First of all, let's just talk about AAA games first, right? It's already a tough market because, like, I would say a lot of people are jumping straight into the free-to-play market, and they're like, cool, well, I can try this out and see if I like it, and then, all right, you know, I could go and buy the new Call of Duty for 60, 70 quid, or, you know, my dad says I can spend £50 on V-Bucks. Like, what am I going to do? I'm already enjoying Fortnite, and that makes it harder already, I guess. So these companies need to try and think, right, what else can we put out there to get our games into the hands of those people so that they're choosing to spend their time playing that instead of playing those free-to-play games? But then on top of that, and this is the thing that I like the most about it, is like they can put out, you know, so much of a game, you know, if they've only they've only made like 70% of the game or whatever, right, and they require more funds. Like, that's one way to look at it, but the cool way to look at it is like, okay, they put the game out and I can sit and play this, and then if I really enjoy this, in 6 months, they're going to release new shit for it. Like, I don't need to wait a year. I don't need to wait 2 years. Like, sometimes I don't even really need to wait that many months before they're going to send some other stuff. And it's like, yeah, okay, it might be like, you know, $12.99, but if I like the game enough and I find the value in it, like you guys said, like spending money on like Destiny DLC, like you get the game cheap enough. Like, if this was back in the day, you would get like the version of
I spent Destiny full price, man. I love it.
Well, like, even if, like, you know, the money that we spend on it today, you might think, right, okay, or, you know, I spend £50 on a game or whatever, that's really, really expensive. But then if you put it in relation to things like inflation, that's probably just as much, like, a percentage of your household income.
It's a huge contributing factor
20 years ago. But then the benefit of that is that now companies can go on Twitter, they can go on Facebook, they can see people streaming it, they can see people on things like YouTube leaving reviews, and they can go, right, okay, do you know what? Like, loads of people were actually digging this content, and that's saving them a fortune on market research and more money that they can spend just fucking putting into the game. And then if they churn out little bits of DLC over a year, like, suddenly you're adding like a year or two onto your game's lifespan that back in the day you wouldn't have, unless it was you were like me and I spent like 3 or 4 years just playing Sonic 2 over and over and over because, like, I enjoyed playing it. But if they could ping me content every 3-4 months for like 10-20 quid, like, you're damn right I would have been noising my mum up about that. So, like, I think it's quite a good thing, like, if you look at it from that point of view. Like, it's when people like complain about like movies and stuff getting like reboots or new movies or TV shows and stuff, it's like, okay, like, you can not watch it, that's cool, but if you're into it, like, that's fucking awesome that you're getting all this extra content for not really all that much more. But it swings and roundabouts, I guess. I think there's valid points 2 and 4, but from my point of view, I think it's a really good thing for game developers, and it's probably keeping a lot of companies alive. Like, if companies had to like not put out early access, if companies had to not put out DLC, like, I think there would be far
the indie companies for access.
Yeah,
and stuff like that,
man, 100%. Like, they wouldn't be able to compete, I don't think.
Like, that game I'm playing just now on PC, Raft. It's just a game where you spawn in on the ocean on a fucking four tile wide fucking wee square raft, and you're in a fucking slipstream. You have to basically scavenge from the slipstream and make your raft bigger, and you have to try and survive in the ocean, and you can play with your pals. Go to that alpha stage for £11. It's fucking so much fun to play with your pals. You can like you're on a wee raft, you can build it up to have radars and all that, and you're fucking swimming about the ocean finding all these different fucking things and all that. Do you know what I mean? It's quite good. But games like that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for like bringing them out at alpha stage, like you say, Renji. Do you know what I mean? Like these companies, they need that money. They need first of all to see that their game is something that people want, and then they need the money to produce said game. Do you know what I mean? Because usually you find like our indie companies is somebody's fucking basically saved up a bunch of money and they're fucking making the game they've always wanted to make. Do you know what I mean? So they need us to invest in it, because their money's basically dry by the time they're fucking releasing an alpha game.
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree, mate.
See,
but you could on
note of all this DLC, what we've got to thank for that is Call of Duty. It was actually, we were talking about like, well, obviously the price of making games and all the marketing, and that's increased. But so has the audience, so has the amount of games sold, so has the units sold. This came about from I don't know if it's a CEO or somebody within the Call of Duty team anyway. They popularized this whole DLC 1, 2, 3, 4, make half a game and then add on afterwards. And it comes from a quote that one of the guys said in that, and what he was meaning, right? He basically said he meant to say what he was meaning was that he thinks that games you should be able to buy, say, instead of paying £60 for the full game, you should be able to buy like a base version of the game for £30. And then if you want to buy the full game, you should, like, as an accessibility thing more than anything, to actually increase profits through accessibility instead of higher profit. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He thought that you should be able to buy, say, the game for £30, and then if you wanted to buy like the proper full-on hardcore version of the game, that you should spend the £60 that we're paying. And then it was misinterpreted by sort of like shareholders and that well, if that's the case, if people are willing to do that, then what we should do is you should buy the finished game for 60, and then if you want to buy the extra content, then we'll split that up into 4 different amounts, and then you can have the choice then of how much of the game you want to buy. And then from Call of Duty, we've got Call of Duty to thank for this whole basically £60 a game, higher game prices, justified because it was supposed to be a lower amount you were paying, and the £60 you were supposed to be paying for the full DLC. But no, we're going to make the main base game £60, and then you'll spend another fucking £30 buying DLC on top. So that's how this whole thing came about, and it's quite sad really, because it wasn't really ever intended to be that way. And there's an interview with the same person saying that he wish he had never said it, or when he said it, he wish he had detailed what he meant a bit better, because it's been misused, and now we're left with the current state of play, which is obviously
it's his fault.
It's that one guy's fault.
But then there's also, just to sort of bring it back as well, there's also the other side of game development where shady developers put games out unfinished with the promise that it's going to be X, Y, and Z, and yet some of them never even. I mean, look at DayZ is the most popular example. That thing is still not out, and yet that's a ton of money sunk in it. A more recent example is a game called Radical Heights on the PC, released by Boss Key Productions. So the same guys that made Lawbreakers, and their final hurrah was to release this game, this battle royale game that people are going to buy loads of skins and stuff for and save their company. So some people did. Some people spent money on that game, and then about 2 months after release, they announced that they were shutting down. So there's people bought into that game, spent money on it, and then now I don't know if the servers are even up to play on. So that there's 2 different sides where it can benefit companies and it can help them get out of a game. But there's also times where A, the company has no intention of releasing a full game or supporting the game further than that, and B, some companies aren't good enough to do it. They've got all these promises that they try and make. No Man's Sky is another sort of similar example where they promised the world and couldn't deliver. And I don't know what's happening with that company now. I know they're trying to sort of update the game as and when they go, but the faith in that company is now gone. So there's different versions of it. The developers need to remember to try and stick to the promises they make. And until people either do more research in it or stop just diving in head first to these either free-to-play games or pay-to-cosmetic type of games, then it's never really going to get better either. So I think as consumers, people have to be a bit more careful with what they put the money into in the first place. So the good games come out, and the crappy games don't even get a day.
Aye, don't even get attention. Aye. But we'll move on to another question. This is just a question I just put in my book there. What's your favourite DLC that you've bought or played? Mine's is The Witcher 3, the second one. Not Blood, Blood and Wine. Blood and Wine is fucking brilliant. The 2 DLCs for The Witcher are great. They were £25 each when they first came out, and they were fucking completely worth it. Like, The Witcher world is massive, and then the first DLC added a whole new fucking section of the game, a whole new baddie, so many different characters, a whole different level up tree, and then the second one it added a completely new area. It was like fucking Witcher France during medieval times, and fucking, oh my god, just the DLCs were brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Like Fallout DLCs back in the PlayStation 3, like Fallout 3, the DLCs for that, they were fucking amazing as well. Just big expansive DLCs. It's almost like for The Witcher, I felt like the DLC was The Witcher 4, almost. Do you know what I mean? Like, holy fuck, how the fuck could they have this? That's almost the 2 games worth. So, Rocket, what's your favourite DLC you've played?
That's a hard one, because like back in the day, I liked my Call of Duty. Like I love my zombies mode. So every DLC basically that came out, especially early zombies, was phenomenal. I really
Kino der Toten, fucking the one with George Lucas, George Romero, sorry, the one who's chasing you about the big lamp thing and all that. Aye, these DLCs are good.
Wastelands and that. But if you're talking about sort of.
No, I just mean like, what's the most happiest you've been with a DLC? Like, you've paid your money and been really happy with it.
Fallout 3, I can't remember the name of the DLC, but it was the one that took the cap off a level 50, and it gave you like this whole other island to go to that was like a disused. You go into the pier and there's like it's all swampy, and there's a disused. There's like an abandoned theme park and that by the docks. I can't remember what the hell the name of the DLC was, but it basically same along the same lines. How you're talking about the Blood and Wine, how it basically was another game within a game. It was the same idea where it basically opened up the game. It added so many more layers and levels to it. It gave you like a
few different enemy types, and all stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, basically made it a new game. Refreshed the whole game, and I think they took about a year and a half to make it. So they did take their time. It wasn't just something rushed. It was something that was passion behind in it. It added that extra layer to a game that has a finite game. Do you know what I mean? Something like that needs a good DLC because it's a finite story campaign. So yeah, it was probably, I can't remember the name of it. That's going to annoy me.
The most disappointed I've ever, the opposite side of that argument is the most disappointed I've ever been with a fucking DLC was Deus Ex Human Revolution, because you got to you literally play this. This is one of these games that was chopped the fuck up. Do you know what I mean? And I got it. I was like, yes, new Deus Ex game. The first one on PlayStation 3 was brilliant, man. Gonna get it. Fucking played it. And you get to the first boss, and you beat the first boss, and the game ends. And you're like, what? And it's like months until the DLC comes out. So you're like, right, I'm gonna get the DLCs, but the DLCs are released. They're 25 quid, and you're like, nah, fuck that. So you wait an extra year until they're all out for like fucking £7 in a bundle, and you get them, and they're literally the DLCs for Deus Ex are just 3 hour fucking scenarios, and you're like, they were wanting 25 quid a piece for them when they come out. What the flying fuck? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, PCgoneMad, how do you feel about DLCs and stuff? What's your favourite one?
I say my favourite one, not because it adds any different levels of stuff to the game, purely in hours played. I would go the Battlefield 4 multiplayer DLC.
Well, that's it. That's what I'm asking. I've got about 1,000 hours in Battlefield 4 at this point. And I couldn't imagine doing that if it was just the vanilla multiplayer experience. I wouldn't have sat and kept playing. It was some of my favourite maps are some of the DLC maps, and I still go back and play Battlefield 4 just to play on some of those maps again. So for me, it would 100% be Battlefield 4. Disappointing DLC, it would be Battlefield 1. Because clearly I'm a Battlefield fan as well. But when Battlefield 1 first came out, even then it didn't feel like a full game online. I'd found a gun that I could dominate with, and that was me. I had no other reason to play. I was ruining folk.
So I was looking forward to the next
Hell
DLC,
Regal.
but it was like the Hell Regal if you were Assault, and then the Gewehr 95 if you were Scout. For any Battlefield fans out there, and but then they dropped their first DLC like 8 or 9 months later. You know what I mean? And it was far too long. And by that point, I had lost interest in Battlefield 1, and I'd actually went back and started playing Battlefield 4. So for me, going for Battlefield 4, where I enjoyed all the DLC, and then going to Battlefield 1, where I gave up on it altogether, that would be my disappointed one.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Renji-san?
So I was never really big into DLC, see, because I was more like into gaming. I feel like I missed most of the DLC, but and a lot of the stuff that I think I'm more drawn towards is like cosmetic stuff for games that I'm enjoying. Like the only DLC that I can think of off the top of my head that I've probably bought in the last few years has been stuff for fucking Rocket League. Like just buying like all the the DLCs with like the different cars and stuff, and then every season when they've got like the crates and everything that you can buy, like that's probably the thing that I'll put my cash into most. Like I've not had a game in so long that's released DLC that I've been like, oh fuck yeah, I can sink some cash into this. Like I just can't think. Rocket League gives me hours of mindless entertainment, and it's such a good game for that.
I'm so bad at Rocket League, man. That's why I don't play it. I just don't play it because I'm so bad, man.
You just have to dedicate yourself to it.
It's the fly and stuff. I can drive about and hit the ball fine, but see when you get these twirly flyers, away you go. I'm done.
The YouTube
out of my league
here.
I am out of my league.
I mean, like Rocket League, I remember when it came out for PlayStation 3. Do any of you remember when it came out for PlayStation 3? It wasn't online, you could only play with your friends in like a fucking split screen scenario, and it was called Super Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars.
I never played it, but I've seen the
Supersonic Rocket Powered Super Powered Battle Cars. It was fucking brilliant. Rocket League's fucking my array games. It's just that, like you say, it's mindless fun, and they bring out a new car or they bring out some DLC, a new map. I remember like the old Rocket League on PlayStation 3, just as I'm talking about it, they don't do it in the new one, but they used to have the goals. The goals was out a bit. They had a football park, and the goal was like, imagine a hockey. See the way the goals is out a bit for the line, and you can play behind the goals and stuff. They had one of the maps in the fucking first Rocket League. Because they brung that back. I'm sure they brung back the Colosseum in Rocket League, the one where the goals are back to back and it's a big circle.
They did, aye.
Oh yeah.
That's in the experimental part of it.
Aye.
Different experimental
that was fucking my favourite map. You just to drive through, score a goal and drive through, man, and fucking just do up your lap all the time, man. It was brilliant. But who have we been watching on Twitch recently? Highland, who have you been watching on Twitch?
Kit Bogger, mate. You know this one. You were going to say that one, didn't you? Kit Bogger, mate. Kit Bogger's phenomenal. Something different on the IRL section.
That's
Kit
the
Bogger,
guy that fucking takes a piss, isn't it?
Scam baiter, mate. He's a scam baiter, aye.
Oh, I've watched about him.
Man, he's fucking awesome. I'm subbed and everything. I fucking love him, mate. He's amazing. What I love as well, he does. He always, like, obviously, for anyone who's not seen Kit Bogger, his background, he's a computer programmer, and one day his grandparents, while he was away doing out of the fucking state that they lived in, got scammed by one of these Indian call centers. So he decided, fuck you, I'm going to go on a mission to sink you. So basically what he does for hours on end, he has a voice modulator, he has a virtual box, and he'll phone them up and pretend he'll go for the IRS scams and all that, and he'll put on a voice modulator. A favourite one, the fan favourite, is called Edna, who does like an old granny with his voice modulator, mate. It's fucking phenomenal. He gets them going. Sometimes with the IRS, he's got to... They make them buy Apple cards, Google Play cards. That's how they take their payment. I think partly they're massive in the black market, right? So, but with some of these, right, with the IRS, because they're so twitchy, they've got to stay, like they want them to stay on the phone while they're going to the shop and everything. So he's got like the car noises, and he's got like the indicator and all this shit, and he's sitting there like, it's phenomenal.
Some of them they'll sit on that call for like hours too, because they think they're going to get an end result. It's hilarious. And then the reveal at the end, see when he finally tells them, like, by the way, that I'm no interest in this and blah blah blah. You can tell how quickly they're trying to get off the phone at that point. Go through the guy, going to the shop in buses and all that. Basically, don't think there's nothing to end it. Oh, we have to go. Sorry.
Some of them though, it's he's a bit different though. He won't like some of these scam bettors, there's not a lot of them in Twitch, but it's a genuine sport as well, apparently.
A sport? It's an e-sport, is it?
Yeah. But some of them though, he doesn't go mad at them. He doesn't go like, some of them just go insane. Oh, fuck you, fuck you. He tries to get them to stay and like talk about the situation and stuff like that, and basically like, why are you doing this? You know you're gonna wake up one day and you're gonna hate yourself. Like, and he's found out some really strange things. Some of these call centers literally like supply like cocaine and shit and get them absolutely drugged out their box. That's why some of them sound absolutely mad. With like but it's a really, he's found out more about these centers than a lot of other people, and it's some really fucked up stuff, man. Like, they'll get them hooked on drugs and stuff like that so that they don't care about what they're doing. That's why a lot of them are really aggressive on the phone. Like, it's really cool, man. Like, the way he conducts it is really good and cool.
Did you ever see the one where it was on one where it was some sort of computer fault, and this guy was going through his personal files, and he put on a fake nudes folder, right? And the guy's, so he's watching this guy who is screen shared his computer with this guy, and he's watching him click through his folders, right? And then he clicks in these nudes, and you can see he's like hesitant whether or not to click on them or not. And he finally double clicks on it, thinking he's going to see this guy in the full scud, and it was like, Sturges called it the naked mole rats. It was pictures of those furless mole rats and stuff like that. And he's like, mate, why are you looking at my nudes? Why are you looking at my nudes? And the guy's trying to get back and all that, trying to get out of the face.
Furless mole rats, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's good, man, and he's good with his community as well. Like, he does a lot of stuff. Like, you can vote for really weird responses that he's got to like say. Like, so for example, he'll like, if he's Edna, it'll be like how so like stupid shit like is a knitting needle good for scratching your arse, like really fucking mad stuff, and he's got to fit that into the conversation. Like, and it's just really interactive. He's phenomenal, and he's a really genuine person as well, I think, which helps, because you know, you want him to succeed, you want him to go far, because he's just a nice person, which is really nice. So yeah, keep following, mate.
What about you, Renj? You been watching anybody on Twitch?
Yeah, so lately I've been like tuned into this like so she used to do Twitch streaming for like a number of years. Took some time away from it. She's called Ashley Christ.
Oh,
and basically like
Christ is,
man, so she does like, she does podcasts
and
and YouTube videos and like loads of other stuff, and like I can't even remember, I think I saw some stuff retweeted on Twitter, and it was all about like, I think it was just something to do with positivity, right? And I'm all people using those sort of terms, because there's a lot of negativity on the internet in general, right? Standard, we all know that. So I think like when there's people going out there to try and like sort of take time out of their day to try and pick folk up a little bit and be like, look, do you know what? Don't get so bummed out on numbers and reach and all this kind of stuff. Like, just do shit that you want to do. And yeah, man. And then like, as long as you know, prepare. This is exactly what it was. It was some kind of tweet to do with like, there's no such thing as luck. Like, it's annoying when people are like, oh, you were just lucky that such and such happened, because, you know, people, and I agreed with that. And I was like,
you know, the lucky streamers are the ones that have been streaming for years.
Exactly. Like, the only reason that they're lucky is that they've put in the graft, and they've they've networked, not just fucking thrown their links in groups and like, oh, come and watch me play Fortnite. Like, they're actually doing stuff, and like, they're trying to make friends, and they're putting out content.
You can look at my Twitter feed.
Well, I didn't want to drop names when you were right here. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so that was like the first thing, and then like I just sort of like started like checking, like I checked out Twitter, and then I bounced on Twitch and stuff like that. And yeah, I've been following her for probably the last like month or two, man, and that was where like I took like a long hard look at what I was doing on my social media, and like I'm really into this dude called Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, I don't know if any of you guys check out any of his stuff. Like, I would recommend everyone goes out and checks him. His online handle's Gary V, like VEE, and he like runs like marketing firms, and he's got like a huge online presence, and he's just all about like, shut the fuck up and just do what you want kind of thing. Like, I love the dude's approach so much.
I like that
and then
approach.
yeah, man, and she name dropped him a few times, and that made me sort of like tune in more, because I was like, all right, cool, she's obviously got some like similar to him. So yeah, man, it's been sick. Like, she takes part in a podcast which just talks all about like how you should be viewing your social media, and like how you should be viewing like outside of your stream just as important as inside of your stream. And like I just like took all of that, and like that's what I was saying at the start of this podcast. Like, I gave myself a test, like, okay, like I'm gonna treat everything this week, how I would like love to do it if like work and everything else was like all falling into place, right? So like I kind of busted my ass and like made sure I was advertising properly, and I was like trying to connect with people and doing all this kind of shit, and I got like 20 followers in like 4 days, got affiliate, a bunch of subs, like all this kind of shit, and it was just like it was hard work. Like, don't get me wrong, man, it was stressful, like at the start of the day, like trying to take the little 5-10 minute train journeys and shit to like schedule posts and like think about who I was tagging and what, and like Gary Vaynerchuk does a whole thing about like treating all of your social media differently. And I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but I think it's good to talk about this stuff. But he talks about like using all of your social media differently. So like if you just post the same stuff on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, like you're going to get nowhere. Like you need to treat all of those platforms slightly differently, because a lot of people will use them for different things. And that was one of the bits of information that just blew my fucking mind. Like years and years and years ago, I used to cosplay quite a lot. That's how I knew like Shoxy QT and all that kind of stuff, like from that community. And I kind of just fell out with it as I got a beefier guy. Like no one needs to see a massive. Well, I didn't want to be a massive Captain America, but like in that, man, like I used to treat all my social media the same, right? And I used to be like, how come my Facebook page has got like 1900 likes and it's got like a really good community on it. My Twitter's got 200 followers and my Instagram's blown up. I was like, why is my Twitter not doing anything? And I used to think just posting on my Facebook and my Instagram being like, oh, follow me on Twitter, guys. Like, I'm just like, oh, why is my Twitter just not functioning the same? And it's just like, they're just like, as a platform, like, I don't think a lot of people realize that they're different, and the way that you churn out content on those platforms needs to be different. Yeah. Like you just put like you can't just paint them all with the same brush. And yeah, like she bangs on about all that kind of stuff, man, and it's super eye-opening. Like it's not like, I think it's what you do with the information, right? Because she's obviously got like thousands of people that tune in and listen to the podcasts, and like Gary Vaynerchuk, I know a couple of people are asking about him, right? So his Instagram is probably the best place to catch him on, right? So I'm going to find that link and I'm going to drop it in here. Guy's got 3.5 million followers, right? Cool. If everyone just took all of his info, then like 3.5 million people would be doing extremely fucking well, and we all know that's not the case, right? So it's all about how you take the information that he's given you. And like I bought one of his books at the start of the year, man, and it's like just all about how you treat yourself as a business and a brand. And dude, it's like it's just nuts hearing someone saying like, no, you should take Twitter seriously. Do you know what I mean? Like how many people not a lot of people think about that. Do you know what I mean?
Being like, you're in a band, you're the lead singer of a band, like if you want to be successful, then you need to be in a successful mind state. Do you know what I mean? You need to be in that state where you need to say to yourself, I am going to do this. It needs to not be, can I do this? Because if it's can I do this, you're more likely to fail. Whereas if it's I will do this, then you're in that positive mind state, like you're saying, and you can get your ideas, like you can get your ducks in a row, basically. Do you know what I mean? A lot easier, because you're like, I can do this. I can fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? Simple as that. You just need to tell yourself, like, fucking let's do things and just do them, man. Like you say,
man. He's got so much of this.
Hit the feet with your ground running. No, hit the ground with your feet running.
Okay. But he's just like, yeah, man. It's incredible. Like he's worth having a look. Like if anyone in the chat or if any of you guys want to check him out, like he started doing streaming, but not like gaming or anything. Like he's just doing like sort of like motivational points of view on Twitch. But like, to be honest, like he's been smart with it. Like he's going to Twitch because it's another platform that he's not on yet, right? So he's like, okay, cool, there's another bit in the market here that like I've not been in yet. And from like purely from a business point of view, it's such a fucking smart idea, because he's like, cool, there's like a whole market of people out here that, you know, I can take some of the stuff on I can take some of what I'm doing on Instagram and some of what I'm doing on Snapchat and go put that on Twitch and go get my head around another format, and it's such a good idea.
Another pie, basically, isn't it, man?
Yeah, man. Like he put shares in like a whole bunch. I mean, I'm not going to say which ones because I'll probably get it wrong, but he put shares in a whole bunch of social media like 10, 15 years ago, and loads of people were like, I think that's a bad financial move. And he's like, well, I think it's going to be the right thing to do, so shut the fuck up. I'm going to do it. And like now he's laughing because he's made all this money from like a whole bunch of social media outlets that he put money in, man. And yeah, like you see that Musically thing that you probably get seen advertised on Facebook all the fucking time. I don't know the complete ins and outs of it, but in a bunch of like like YouTube interviews and stuff, because like a bunch of people go see him at conferences and ask questions, and he gives them advice, and that tends to get filmed and put up on a lot of social media. And then like I've heard him name drop that so many times that like I'm pretty sure he was like one of the pushers at the start of that, and he's like helped them blow up.
What about you,
That's
PC?
handy though.
You've
See
been
that
watching
Ashley
anybody on
Price
Twitch?
as well. She does YouTube videos as well. Because
I've seen her. That's what I found her YouTube video.
Yeah.
But I tend to watch most of my online activity, if I'm not playing games, is on Twitch. So I watch a lot of different people. One thing that I've maybe, I wouldn't say an advantage, but differs is I work different shifts and I work night shifts. So often if it's quiet a night shift or on my lunch, I'll find other Scottish streamers at like 3, 4, 5 in the morning, you know, that you would never really see during the day because they're also in shift work. And I like to find these other smaller Scottish streamers as well and just get to know them.
I love to find a Scottish streamer
It's
myself.
brilliant. It's a good laugh because obviously they don't know you're Scottish to begin with. And my initial greeting and every single Scottish streamer will be happening, Shagger, right? And see if they don't respond in a positive way, I'm out. You know what I mean? For me, it's a common Scottish greeting. You know what I mean? And I've had people like, "Oh, are you Scottish?" And it's a wee bit of banter back and forth there. You know, if some of the guys that I play with normally, if they're streaming, I'll watch them because I found them as streamers to begin with, so I enjoy their content as well. Guys like Dead of the Sean and Collie Boy, 2 other great guys as well that I've just recently got to know. In terms of like bigger streamers though, because I play PUBG a lot, I'm watching guys like Shroud and Dr. Disrespect, but I've started to watch them in a different light, watching them to see what they're doing with their stream rather than what they're doing in the game. Other slightly smaller guys as well, but around about that level, partners, rather than watching them as a gamer, enjoying their gaming content as good as it is, I've started watching them more as what are they doing on their stream, what are they changing, what are they improving.
Do you know
Basically,
what I mean?
just I'm trying to see what the bigger market's doing. I'm just trying to tailor my stream to try and match what they're doing as well, so that when people come from their stream and they come to mine, they're not looking at it like, look, this is an amateur, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. They're seeing familiar things. So that's why I've started watching some bigger streamers. Just to try
as well as like people are used to a certain format on streams as well. So if you're looking to be in a certain demographic, then you're wanting your stream to be the same format. So as somebody clicks into your stream and they understand everything that's on stream, what's happening and stuff like that, the way the channel's built. Do you know what I mean? Because if people come into your channel, like you're saying, that it's like a different format, and do you know what I mean? It's no similar to the guy that they've just came from. They're more likely not to stick about. Whereas if you do try and match like you're saying, then they come in, it's easy to understand, you're playing a similar game, bum. Do you know what I mean? It's much better for your channel.
I think it's good. I think everybody here at some stage has found other Scottish streamers just by floating about Twitch. Sometimes I'm not even looking for Scottish streamers, I'll just bump into one. All different levels, all different sizes of channels. And you always find, I'd say 99% of the time, it's always warm, friendly people. And I think that's maybe different where, because the Scottish market will be naturally smaller purely because of the numbers, we're a more welcoming bunch to other Scottish streamers. Whereas I've seen Americans hate on each other just because they're different size channels. I've seen all the arguments and all the rest of it. But you don't really find that with Scottish people because we're not really that inclined. Scottish people have always been together for each other, you know what I mean? So when you get
a similar accent and you go, you're like,
see, when I see new Scottish people in my chat, I get proper excited. Because I don't have to change the way I speak. I sound like a pure retard. You know what I mean? I can just talk normal and understand me. And B, because you know they're right into it as well, because they can hear a familiar kind of accent. You know, so I always get excited when I see new Scottish people come in as well.
But that leaves me on a great note to finish the podcast. That is exactly what IndiScots for, guys. If there's any small Scottish streamers, it's a great community. Like PC says, we're all very welcoming. There's not really much places for us all to get together. IndiScots is now one. Thank you for watching the podcast. Thank you to HighlandRocket on my left side. Thank you to Renji, and thank you to PCgoneMad. See you all next week, guys.
Shaggles.
Peace.
We'll build this network on Scots with soul. We'll build this network. Scots and soul. Build this network on Scots with soul.